questions should I ask when I visit a French property?
So when buying a French property, I think generally when buying a property anywhere, there's going to be a lot of questions that come through that are probably going to be the same. So obviously the reason for selling, why the sellers are moving, that can have an impact. If it's a house that sellers seem to sell every 2 years or so, you might want to ask why, but it could be down to personal reasons. So it's always good to get an idea of why the property is on the market. I would also ask how long the property has been on the market for, especially because the market is very dynamic at the moment. If a property's been on the market for a while, you'll need to ask why. It could be a number of reasons. It could be that they started asking with an asking price that was too high and that didn't, make people want to view it. It could be, for example, it's a succession and there's maybe 12 sellers involved, which can make the process quite complicated in terms of them agreeing a purchase price, a sale price, just the process in general. It can make it a bit tricky if there's a lot of sellers involved. So that's a good one to ask as well, who the sellers are. But that will come under the reason for selling. If you're looking at a property, especially in a countryside or a property that's got around it, I would ask the estate agent to confirm whether the zones around it are constructible or not. So the mairie will be able to provide that advice. But that's always good to know, because if, for example, again, where I live, it's a lot of fields and there's a plot of land next to my house that I wouldn't want anyone building a house next to, because I like having no neighbours. But it's quite good to know that whether or not it can or cannot be constructed on. And a bit similar if there's any major works. So I know in a lot of areas in rural France, we've got wind turbines, which some people really don't like, or obviously you've got the fast speed rail tracks. So just check what's in the area, ask the estate agent, have a look online, see what projects might be coming on. I would also ask if the property has had any works done in the last 10 years, especially any major work like roof or electricity openings, because they will normally fall under what's called a garantie décennale. So it's like a 10-year guarantee as long as they've got the correct paperwork to show it. So that's always a good question to ask. Ask if the internet is any good. I can vouch for that. It can be pretty ropey in rural France, for example. They are looking to improve internet service all over France, but it's obviously taking a little bit of time. And if you're trying to work from home, or if internet is important to you, definitely what the internet is like. This can also really vary from one village to another. So really, check it for that property. Also, when viewing a property, I would just really get talking with the estate agent, showing you around the property, because they probably live in the area. Local estate agents in France normally cover quite a small area from where they are based. So, ask them why they moved over to France, what they like doing in the area. Is there anything happening, any events that you could go to? I think it's really important to get a feel for the property, but also the area that it's located in. What's around, how close are the shops, how do they host, annual events in the village or the town that you're looking at, anything like that, to get a feel of what it can be like day to day, because that can really, you can have the perfect property, but if the surroundings aren't quite what you're after, it can make a big difference. Yes, I think those would be the main questions, really. You can also ask if there's been any offers in the past, to get an idea on whether or not there's any negotiation possible. I think because of the way the market is at the moment, there's probably very little room for negotiations overall, unless the property has been on the market for a long time. But again, the estate agent, a good estate agent should be able to be open and upfront about the price and the offers and what room for negotiation there is. So those would be my main questions. But obviously, if there's anything you're not sure about when viewing a property, or anything you spot that you're not quite sure what it is, it's always better to ask and find out the answer.